Welcome to this very special celebration of the 2011 World Cup win with a dear friend of mine, and perhaps the man who made it possible with that 97. 10 years down the line, Gautam Gambhir can still play. Look at him. I've developed gray hair. I'm much older. Gautam doesn't look it.
No,
I mean,
it's
he
not
can
a.
still go out there and play. But Gautam, 10 years have flown. Do you look back at it? I know you live in the moment, you live in the present. But 2nd of April is a very special day and a very special memory. Do you look back?
See, again, I'm a very different individual. I don't look back at things, and I'm not going to sound very arrogant that we've done something and all that stuff. I actually don't look back. It's time for Indian cricket to look forward. Yes, it was a special day, and it was a special day from that point of view where we could make the country proud, where we could make the people of our country happy, and that is all what I looked when I talk about 2nd April. And more importantly, I remember when we won the World Cup, the first thing I said was that I think we've done the job what we were supposed to do, because when we were picked to play the World Cup, it was our responsibility, it was our job to win the World Cup. We don't go out there to compete, we go out there to win, and that is what we did. And we didn't do something extraordinary. We were supposed to do that, and happy that we could manage to do that.
Yeah, but a World Cup win for a country which is starved of success means a lot, Gautam. So while you say you were meant to, not many are able to. So if I can sort of nudge you a little bit, when you look back at that 97, 2 down, Sachin out, Viru out, just give me a sense, was there pressure? How did you embrace that pressure? Big final, all of India, all of the world watching?
See, this question has been asked to me many a times, probably thousands of times, that whether I was under pressure or whether I was not under pressure. Honestly, I was not under pressure, because if I didn't have that belief that I can win the World Cup for my country, I should not have been part of that squad. And I'm sure, had I not played
but
that,
isn't that happy pressure? It's good pressure also.
See, again, your focus was not about what you've lost. Your focus was what you're going to achieve, what is ahead of you. What has gone was gone. Sehwag got out, Sachin got out. I know there were 2 big wickets, but then I don't look back again. Even when in that moment, I was not looking at what we've lost. It was all about where we need to end. And that is the target which was always there in my mind, that we had to chase 275. And I will always say that had I not played that knock, someone else would have played that knock. There was Yuvraj Singh, there was Suresh Raina. The most important thing at that moment was that I'm sure that we went out there to win the cup. And I was very fortunate that I was probably the blessed one that I was able to contribute, and really happy about it.
We are a nation obsessed with individual milestones. You are not. Do you regret the 3 runs?
See, I don't regret those 3 runs, but I regret not finishing the game. That was my responsibility.
Very important.
That was my responsibility, because funny things have happened in cricket. Funny things will happen in cricket, because when you're in, and at that stage, on that occasion, it's the World Cup final. It was my responsibility to finish off the game alongside MS Dhoni. My only regret when I was walking back to the dressing room was not missing 100. My only regret was that if we don't end up winning this cup, probably I will have to live with that regret for the rest of my life. And that was the scariest thing that came into my mind.
Gautam, when you look back as a cricketer at the legacy that you leave behind, because obviously all of us are in for a job that we do, we want to do it to our best. Was that your moment when you felt, okay, as a cricketer, I have done my job to the best of my ability in terms of winning the highest prize?
See, when I was growing up, I always wanted to be part of the World Cup winning team. And I was very fortunate that I was part of 2 World Cup winning teams. And a lot of people who've achieved some great things for Indian cricket have not been part of those World Cup winning teams. And you practice for years and years for these moments. I'm not going to lie sitting here in front of you that you don't practice for all these occasions. You do practice for these kind of occasions, these kind of platforms and matches where you want to just show the world that whether it's not only about skill, it's about whether you have the mental toughness to go out there and face the occasion and probably come better off it. So yes, it was kind of a great moment, to be honest, and it was very satisfying as well, because that was my first World Cup. You can keep saying that I played the 2007 World Cup as well, but when I was growing up, there was no T20 World Cup. There was only 50 over World Cup. For me, I still say that 50 over World Cup is probably the only World Cup that we should consider, because that's the format when I was growing up. We watched, I wanted to be part of. So my first World Cup, and I was very fortunate. I don't think so there was anyone else who was playing his first World Cup and then go on to probably get the highest score and end up winning the World Cup. So very few and very fortunate people get that opportunity, and I was probably one of them.
And if I look back at that particular week, Gautam, which climaxed on the 2nd of April, you beat Australia, one of the great teams of world cricket. You beat Pakistan in what was an emotionally charged game in Mohali. and then obviously you beat Sri Lanka. Just give me a sense of the mental makeup of the team, how you all moved from one game to the other. If I can sort of nudge your memory a little bit, because these are also lessons where you sort of revel in moments which can be treated as opportunities.
Oh, it's a very valid and a very good question. Probably a final before the final was against Australia. And I remember when we won that game against Australia, it was a tricky wicket. It wasn't an easy wicket. And we were chasing around 270, 280. And against a very strong bowling lineup. They had Braitley, Mitchell Johnson, Sean Tate, Shane Watson, and I don't remember the spinner, to be honest. But then when you can chase that kind of a total, and I remember after that game, we were sitting the next morning, I was sitting on a breakfast table, and Gary walked in for a breakfast, and he was sitting alongside me. And I told him that probably anything we do from here will become easy. And he turned around and told me, do you think that the next game is going to be easier than this? I said, this is my feeling, that if we can beat Australia in the quarterfinals, whether we play Pakistan, New Zealand, whoever we play in the semifinals, it's going to be easy. And it's not going to be the same quality. So from here on, I think we are on the right track of winning the World Cup, because you remember in 2007 T20 World Cup as well, we had to beat Australia in the semi-finals to go on to win the T20 World Cup. Yes. So even in 2011 we had to beat Australia in quarterfinals, and then we went on to win the World Cup. So Australia is probably the biggest hurdle, because Australia is probably the only team, I'm not going to degrade any other opposition, but Australia is the only team who knows how to win those big moments, those crunch moments. And that's why they've been probably they won the World Cup most number of times. And I thought that probably after that Australia game, mentally, we had already thought that we're going to be able to win the World Cup.
That is actually why I asked, because 1999 Australia winners, 2003 Australia winners, 2007 Australia winners. And if you see the way they won, dominant wins, 99 dominant win, 2003 dominant win, 2007, yes, that light, but they were dominant, that Gilchrist 150. So 2011, I mean, we covered that game, hugely hot day in Ahmedabad, for India to win that. And then to play Pakistan, Gautam, give me a sense, because the occasion became much more as if the whole world is watching, the premiers coming, the prime ministers coming. Does that impact sport, the politically charged atmosphere?
See, more politically hyped than probably more from not that much from the cricketing point of view, because if you compare Australia to Pakistan, Australia was far more superior. So again, yes, it's more of an emotional game. But again, for me as an individual, I can't talk about rest of the 10 players who played that game. I try and keep my emotions intact, because it really doesn't matter to me what color jersey am I facing. For me, the contest is between bat and ball. It's not the contest between blue or green or blue and yellow. It's the contest between a bat and a ball. And I know it was very politically hyped. There was a lot of pressure. The entire Mohali was no one was allowed to enter the stadium. No one was allowed to enter the city. The entire city became a fortress and all that kind of a stuff. And there will always be more hype when you're playing Pakistan, and that also at home, and the World Cup semi-final. But again, I personally thought that we didn't play our best cricket on that given day. We only played 60-70% to our ability. That's the reason why we were not as dominant as we should have been in the semi-final, but we still managed to not scrape through, but we still managed to play the finals. And I remember when we won that game, we spoke about it, that if we play to our potential, if we play to 60% of our potential, and if we can beat Pakistan in the semi-final, which was a stronger side, they batted really deep. So if we play to our potential, probably we are on course of winning the World Cup. And exactly, I feel that it was more emotionally hyped and politically hyped as compared to the quarterfinal, which was probably our biggest challenge during that World Cup.
Gautam, and this is a question that I have asked you many a time about, being a nationalist. I mean, all of us are. I mean, we love our country. We are really patriotic. Give me a sense when you stand in the middle, the national anthem is playing, it's the World Cup final, you're doing it for India, when you've won the competition, holding the trophy, because it will bring a smile to our faces. And we are common men and common women. You have made us happy. Give me a sense of being an Indian achieving that. Give me a sense.
See, first, when you spoke about nationalism, for me, I think nationalism has no caste, creed, religion, or color. Anyone can be a nationalist. And I very strongly believe in it. But when you're standing for the national anthem, that's the moment, first, where you realize that you're an Indian. Second, most importantly, you realize that you've got a great opportunity to do something special for your country, to do something special for 100 million people. That is where when people talk about goosebumps, those goosebumps are about the feeling that it's your moment now. Once this moment finishes, when you walk onto the cricket field, you've got a golden opportunity. Not many people, only privileged, get that opportunity to do something special for the country, for 100 million people, or now 130 million people, and you can make them proud. What better feeling than that when you represent your tricolor? And that is exactly the feeling which I've always got when I've stood for the national anthem. And that is where it is the start of probably doing something special and doing something glorious, probably making my country proud.
Gautam, a lot of people have told me about how you have been able to promote talent. You have been able to nurture talent, even say a Navdeep Saini. I mean, I know you will be modest, but I have heard stories and from pretty reliable sources that your contribution. When you look back and give me a story that I don't know. I mean, a Gautam Gambhir story from the 2011 World Cup. People who are watching this broadcast on 2nd April, and everybody will, because they know Gautam Gambhir is talking to me, the star of the moment. Give me a story that I don't know.
See, again, I'm not a star. I think it was 15 of us, or probably even the 20 sitting in the dressing room. All of us were stars. And I've always believed, I think, when people talk about my knock or MS's knock, it's not that. Neither me, neither MS, none of us have won the World Cup. It's all of us who won the World Cup. People forget very easily about Zaheer Khan's first 3 overs with 3 maiden overs. That is what set the tone for the entire World Cup final. No one talks about it. People don't talk about Yuvraj Singh's contribution. People don't talk about Harbhajan, Sachin Tendulkar's unbelievable World Cup, the highest run getter, Virendra Sehwag, Virat Kohli, Munaf Patel, unsung. All of us, no individual can win you the World Cup. When you talk about the stories, see, again, I think I don't have too many stories because I'm so much into my own shell, which is sometimes it surprises me sometimes as well. That even when I was playing cricket, even now, that I'm so much focused into one thing which I really want to do. Yes, during the World Cup, I wanted to score 100 because it was my first World Cup, and I never got that opportunity again to represent my country in the World Cup. Probably, I'm sure it hurts a lot of people. It had hurted me as well that we never got that opportunity to defend the World Cup in 2015. But these things happen. This is sport. This is life. Things change very quickly. But then I was so much focused on probably making an impact in that World Cup because I knew that the next World Cup is going to be 4 years down the line, whether I will be part of it or not part of it. So I was desperate to score runs. And yes, I was desperate to score 100 as well. I'm not going to lie to you. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. But the most important thing is that I played my India won, and I played my first World Cup when I was growing up. For me, 50 over World Cup, I've already mentioned it to you, that I was part of the World Cup winning team. What better feeling than that? So the story, when you talk about, this is probably the only story because I live so much into that shell that I don't actually even go out of that shell.
That's okay, because you are an intense man, and that's how you have been, and that's how we want to celebrate you, because and serious people are a rare and disappearing breed in our society. I see too many flippant people around.
Yeah, because I'm not a tattoo boy. In fact, my wife asked me a couple of days, "Will you ever have a tattoo on your body?" I said, "I'm too boring for all this. I'm a very black, blue, gray, and a white boy. My wardrobe is full of black, blue, white, and gray. Probably this is the only color because I'm doing an interview with you. So she said that you got to wear a different color. And this is probably the only different t-shirt which I've got. Rest, everything is black, blue, and white or gray." So again,
most of our interviews, you've actually worn white
t-shirts. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm a very boring person by nature. And again, I myself
boring is exciting.
Yeah, in today's day,
boring is exciting. It is, because there's too much color going on.
And again, in today's day and age, because someone who's a teetotaler, someone who's never touched alcohol, never tasted alcohol, to be honest, never smoked, never probably never had tea, never had coffee, never had green tea. So sometimes people don't believe that, but this is the kind of person I am. So this is how things are with me. So yes, a lot of people say that I'm boring, but yes, in today's day and age, I've never danced. I can't sing. All I could do probably in my life was probably play a little bit of a cricket, and I wish I would have been in the army because that still remains my first love.
Yeah, that I'm aware of, and being a teetotaler myself, a complete teetotaler, no smoke.
I'm sure you've tasted tea, coffee. I've never tasted tea, coffee in my life.
Yes, tea, coffee, yes, but no alcohol, no nothing. So yeah,
so, you can imagine someone who doesn't know the taste of coffee, tea, green tea, nothing. I don't know the taste of it. never even had a sip of it. It's sometimes when I look back and when I sit alone and I realize that this is how I am and how difficult it is to live with a person like me.
Yes, in that sense, yes. But
Yeah.
मुझे ये बताओ, World Cup, once you won the World Cup, what was the celebration like? Because I was in your hotel. I remember at 1 a.m. Yuvraj, Virat, we were in, I think, in Yuvraj's room, and they ordered biryani and we all had. You weren't there. What was the celebration for you like? Did you celebrate at all?
See, there was a team get together upstairs. I don't remember the floor, which floor was it on. I went for only 5 minutes because I'll tell you one thing, I was absolutely exhausted. I was gone because I fielded for 50 overs. Then I batted till the 40 overs. So literally in that heat, I was in the middle for 90 overs. And yes, it was emotionally tiring as well. It was physically tiring as well. And by the time I got back in my room, I spoke to my family. Obviously, I spoke to mom, dad, grandmom. I was in a courtship at that time. I spoke to Natasha for 2 minutes, and I was so tired. I went upstairs for 5 minutes, came down, and I went off to sleep because I just couldn't manage to stay awake. That is how much exhausted I was on that particular given day.
If you had not done this interview, and I don't know if you will do others, would 2nd April be different for Gautam? Would you even think about it that this is my 10th World Cup anniversary? This is a day you wouldn't. You would.
I won't. I won't. It's time for Indian cricket to look forward. It's time for Indian cricket to move forward. Life is all about moving forward, not looking back at things. Yes, it gives you happiness. It will always give you happiness, but then that can't be the benchmark. And I remember.
My 2 final questions. Go on. Sorry.
See, again, when we were playing the 2011 World Cup final, there was a lot of talk that, oh, you know what, India won the World Cup in 1983. It's a long, long time. We haven't won the World Cup. You don't look back. Go ahead. Yes, it's happened. It's happened. Now Indian cricket needs to move forward, and I'm sure Indian cricket will move forward, and Indian cricket will do really well and keep doing really well as well.
You say forward. Those were 2 final questions, Gautam. That last 4 months, 5 months have been extraordinarily good for Indian cricket. The intensity that we have seen, we've won in Australia, we've won against England. Do you actually see that India, this team, winning an ICC trophy, be it the Test Championship or the World Cup at home? How do you see Indian cricket moving forward in the next few months?
See, I've not spoken too much about it, but all I can say is probably Gabba was the greatest win in the history of Indian cricket. Without Virat Kohli, which I again believe that individuals do not matter in team sport, and that was
you
very
said
clear.
This to me.
That was very clearly shown at Gabba. Without Virat Kohli, without Ashwin, without Jasprit Bumrah, Indian team still managed to win that game and win that Test series. So probably the greatest win in the history of Indian cricket. I don't think so. It can ever happen again, or it will ever happen again with that kind of a team, with that lesson experience. And again, for me, I think you can't judge a side by just winning ICC trophies. And the reason is we won the World Cup in 2011. And in the same year, we got thrashed in England. We got thrashed in Australia. So winning an ICC trophy is not a benchmark for being a good or a bad side. New Zealand has never won an ICC trophy, but they're still a fabulous team. They're still a great team. So again, just by judging a team that hasn't won an ICC trophy or has won an ICC trophy or not won an ICC trophy should never be the benchmark. It's about consistency, whether we can go overseas, dominate opposition, try and win convincingly, and be a consistent side. Just by winning the World Cup and then probably after that getting thrashed regularly doesn't make you a world champion. It probably will make you a world champion for 4 years. It will look very nice when people talk about it. Oh, it's the world champions that are playing against XYZ. It's very nice for a media or a normal public to hear that we are the world champions. But it's about playing consistent cricket that will make any team a stronger side.
Finally, in the white, black t-shirts, etc., do you have your World Cup t-shirts with you? Do you have your stuff? What is the deal? Or have you completely forgotten about that?
I've got a jersey which I wore when I was batting, and I haven't washed it. I've framed it. In fact, not me, Natasha, my wife, framed it, and there's a medal there as well. And she always wanted to do that, and that's the reason, because I had kept it somewhere in my whatever kit bag and stuff. But she was the one who took it out, and she said, "We have to frame this. At least for the girls, when they grow up, they should know that what you've achieved." But again, I think for me, it's not important that what I've achieved in profession. Once my girls grow up, they need to know that their dad was a good human being. That is more important, not that he's a 2-time world champion. That would not please me one bit. What will please me is that if they can be proud of me as a human being, that is all that matters to me.
All I will say is I'm glad Natasha did what you did. And I'll discard the rest of it. But if you have something else in your kit bags, give it to me for the museum, because again, it's a legacy. It's a legacy that people across the world need to come and see and know about Indian sport. Not what Gautam Gambhir achieved or Mahendra Singh Dhoni achieved, but India achieved. And that's how, if people get inspired, that's the legacy that Gautam talks about. Finally, Gautam, I let you go. I'm told you're doing something novel in East Delhi. I don't want to say on this show. Whenever it's ready, do give me a call. Maybe my first flight since COVID, and I've now been vaccinated. So 45. Today is my vaccine day.
Very
so
good,
I'll have my second dose. So I'll come and see that facility.
Good luck. I will, 100%.
Thank you very much for your time, Gautam. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Bye. Bye.